It is absolutely alright if a kid has an imaginary friend. It always has been so, and always will be, the young female psychologist said with a smile. So don't worry, it will pass with time.
He's not imaginary, he's real,
Denny yelled indignantly. Sonny, behave yourself. It's not nice to scream around. Forgive us, for God's sake. Oh, it's okay. He's just a kid. So you say it is alright if a kid talks to someone in the middle of the night? Look, he just has a well-developed imagination. This is completely normal for kids his age. Just accept this, she said. From the tone of her voice, you could tell she didn't really want to continue the dialogue. All this time, I was sitting on a comfortable leather sofa and silently agreed with the child psychologist, remembering my imaginary childhood friend, Gumby. When I was like 4, I would often shut myself up with him in a small barn at my grandmother's. We talked, played cards, which I'd pulled from my grandfather's bedstand. I would help him play, and even rejoice for him when he would win. My parents and grandparents didn't like that, though. They looked at me like I was insane. Back then, I had no real friends, neither in the village nor in the city, so I had to invent them for myself, and the opinion of my parents in this matter was the last thing I paid attention to, because I was happy with my best friend, Gumby. Then I returned from my fond memories to the psychologist's office.
Well, we should probably be going,
my wife muttered, with a note of rudeness. She grabbed Denny by the hand and left the office. I got my ass off the couch, politely apologized, and rushed after them. Come on, Karen. The specialist says that everything's fine, and we have nothing to worry about. Why are you so turned on? Looks like she doesn't know a thing about psychology. The wife was still indignant, dragging the boy with her. I also had an imaginary friend in childhood. Remember? I told you about him. Yeah, but at least you didn't play with a knife in the middle of the night talking to him. What? What do you mean? I mean that last night I woke up to go to the bathroom, and on my way, I heard some noise in the kitchen. So I went in to check and saw our boy holding the knives and talking to himself.
I wasn't talking to myself, Mom,
Denny responded, but no one paid attention to his words. Why didn't you tell me anything? I was bummed. I don't know. I just thought, whatever, sorry. Maybe we should go to another doctor? What's the point anyways? They all come from the same college, and the other will say that everything is fine and normal. These words ended our dialogue, and all the way home, neither I, nor Karen, nor even Denny dropped a word. Only when we approached the house, the kid suddenly yelled joyfully, pointing his finger in the direction of our gazebo.
Look, there he is.
Who? I asked in surprise, staring at the gazebo and not seeing anyone there.
Don't you see? He's right in the gazebo, Dad.
There's no one there, Denny. Get a hold of yourself.
No, there is,
he yelled, frowning. What on earth is going on? Karen was indignant and drove the boy into our house, threatening that if she hears about his imaginary friend again, she would deprive him of his computer for several days. The offended boy entered the house, undressed, and ran straight to his room, slamming the door loudly. Oh, I've just probably gone too far. I haven't been myself lately, Karen said with a sigh, and went into the kitchen. And I, having changed clothes, went to my son. The closer I was approaching to my son's room, the more clearly I heard his joyful voice. He was talking to someone again, but I couldn't hear the one he was talking to. Quietly opening the door, I looked inside and nodded to my son with a smile. He smiled back at me. Having entered the room, I sat down on the edge of the bed. Denny, who have you just been talking to?
No one?
Shuddered he. Come on. I'm not gonna shout at you. I'm not your mom. Just tell me, who was that?
I talked to Vaka.
Who is Vaka?
This is my friend. He's a funny clown.
A clown? You mean like in the circus?
Not really.
He smiled.
He is much prettier and a lot of fun. He likes to play with me.
Oh, and there's one more thing I'd like to know. Is it true that you took the knives in the kitchen last night? The boy hesitated and most likely lied to me, saying that he did not remember anything. All right, chap. Let's go have dinner.
I'm not hungry, Dad.
What do you mean you're not hungry? You haven't eaten a meal today. Come. After dinner, everyone went about their business. Karen and I decided to watch Netflix on the recently purchased huge TV set, and Denny was allowed to play some computer games. Finally, when the hand of the clock had already passed 11, Denny, looking displeased, went to his room with his mother. Karen returned a few minutes later, laid down next to me, and soon fell asleep, which turned out to be a hard task for me that night. I was surfing on and flipping through the internet until probably 3 a.m., and when I finally put my phone aside and once again tried to fall asleep, I heard Denny's voice. At first, I just thought that I was already sleeping and dreamt that, but when I opened my eyes and listened carefully, I realized that wasn't a dream, and the voice really was coming from the hallway. Being as quiet as possible, trying not to creak the bed, I got up and went to the door to listen again.
No, I'm not going there. Last time, my mom caught me at that, and I was in trouble. This time she will find out again. You think she won't? Okay, I'll be quieter.
Denny's steps betrayed his whereabouts. This was due to the creaking floorboards, which I haven't fixed yet. Judging by the creak, Denny was moving towards the bathroom. As he entered the room, I heard the sound of bubbling water. Why did he turn on the tap? I thought, and went out into the hallway. Still scraping the floorboards, I went to the bathroom. As I walked, the gurgling sound switched to a disgusting noise. For sure, everyone knows this sound when water is poured into a metal bucket. I quietly walked to the door and opened it without delay. What I saw plunged me into immense shock. Denny completely thrust his head into a bucket of water and kept it there without taking it out. I could hear him choking, but nevertheless, he didn't take his head out, as if someone was holding him like that. But thank God it didn't last long. As soon as I went in, all this madness instantly stopped. Denny, what's wrong with you? Sonny, what's going on? Having a hard time finding the right words, I hugged my son. He was alive, thank God. Can you tell me what happened, son? Why did you do this? He stood miserable, wiping away the tears. It was hard, but in a moment, he said under his breath,
I don't know, Dad. It's like it wasn't me.
Come on, let's get out of here, dear. Let's go to the room. Everything is fine. I'm with you. I tried to calm the kid down. I took the boy into my arms and hurried into the bedroom. Karen immediately woke up. Apparently, felt that something was wrong. She took off the bed and ran up to us.
What's happened to him?
Man, it's luck that I didn't sleep. God.
Can you explain what happened?
She was already shouting at me, without looking away from the frightened half-to-death Denny. I heard that he was talking to someone again, only this time it was in the hallway. Then he went to the bathroom, and I followed him. I heard water poured in a bucket, so I opened the door, and there was Denny, sitting on the floor with his head submerged entirely into the water, as if he wanted to drown himself.
Denny, son,
What happened? Why did you do that? Karen asked, embracing the kid and wiping away the tears from him and from herself.
It wasn't me, Mom.
But who? What happened?
It was Vaka.
Who's Vaka? It's some kind of clown. The imaginary friend, I explained.
He wanted to play in the bathroom. We went there, and then I don't remember.
Denny began to cry and embraced his mother. Calm down. Everything is fine. Now you will sleep with us. Okay, dear? And don't be afraid of anything. Karen, you might misunderstand me, but when I went into the bathroom and saw all this, it seemed to me that something invisible was preventing him from sticking his head out of the bucket. My wife looked at me like I was an idiot and returned to the boy. He didn't want me to tell you about him. He asked me not to, but I did. Come on, lie down next to me. Everything's okay now. No one will hurt you anymore. She hugged him tightly again, and together they went to sleep on our bed. I, still not finding peace after what I had seen, decided to go outside and get some fresh air. Stuff that happened to the boy scared me to death. Bad thoughts immediately got into my head. What if I didn't show up on time? And so on, trying to drive them out of my head. I made several circles around the house and found something near the gazebo. It was a clown nose. Yeah, that was a real freaking red nose with an elastic band on it. Everything inside has turned upside down. The strange discovery gave me mixed feelings. Either this is a bad joke of my son, or his imaginary friend is not imaginary at all. But in the bathroom, it really seemed to me that some non-material force prevented Denny from sticking his head out of the bucket. I took the nose and returned to the house. Without waking up my wife and the kid, I decided to postpone the story about the find until the morning. I couldn't sleep. My head was simply overwhelmed with bad thoughts of theory and guesses. Where could that clown nose come from in our gazebo anyway? And one more thing. I once again remembered what happened in the bathroom and found one catch. The bucket before the incident had stood in the pantry all the time, almost on the highest shelf. I remember well how I personally left it there after watering the flower bed. Denny couldn't take it from up there. He simply just wouldn't have been able to reach that shelf. These thoughts made me even more anxious, but the worst thing happened a bit later. More towards the morning, my eyes could no longer withstand the light from the mobile screen. They shut, plunging me into a dream. Here, I want to make a slight digression. I'm a light sleeper, so even the slightest of sounds or any other disruption is enough to wake me up. It was still dark outside when a snicker pulled me out of my sleep. Opening my eyes a little, I thought that it was my son who had also woke up. He is an early bird. This is normal, but this thought was dismissed by the same snicker, which was coming from the hallway. It made me completely wake up and come to the door. Someone was there. I distinctly heard the steps, the creak of the floorboards, and an awfully disgusting snicker rang out once again, causing thousands of goosebumps all over my body. No, these were not hallucinations. It was not a dream. Everything was happening in real life. There was really someone walking in the hallway.
Denny, where are you? Let's go play in the basement.
Suddenly, I heard the voice of my son behind me.
I won't go with you, Vaka. You hurt me last time. I'm not friends with you anymore.
You took my toys. Now you must come with me.
The uninvited guest replied.
I put them in their place, and I don't want to play with you anymore.
I glanced around the bedroom and was convinced that Denny was sleeping and talking to the guest in his sleep, or something. I stood in the middle of the room and my brain just frying. Suddenly, once again, I heard fast steps that stopped just by the door of our room. the cloistral hush pressed on me, I realized that there was something strange behind the door, something that should not be there. Finally, having recruited my willpower, I grabbed the mop that was standing by the closet and decided to go out into the hallway. But as soon as I approached the door, I froze.
Hey, Father, why are you still not sleeping?
A disgusting voice from behind the door pierced my head like a sharp knife, causing an immense sense of horror. Who is this? What is he doing in our house? And why was his voice completely different this time? Just a few minutes ago, it called my son in an ordinary human voice. I was sharply reluctant to leave the bedroom. To be honest, after what I heard, I had a desire to hide under the blanket like a child as quickly as possible and plug my ears so as not to hear it. I still couldn't believe that this was really happening. I tried to hit myself in the face with my hands, stupidly hoping that this was really some kind of just a bad dream. But everything was real, and that clown nose I found in the gazebo also turned out to be quite real. After the last phrase of it, I no longer heard the sounds outside the door. The reason for this will probably be the slowly rising sun. So, I stood in the middle of the room until finally Karen woke up at about 6 in the morning. She approached me, at a loss.
Honey, are you alright?
Her thin voice brought me out of a prolonged state of stupor. Karen, you can think I'm a madman, but the one our son talked to stood right here outside our door this night.
What do you mean?
I mean, he was right here. I heard it, and Denny also talked to him in his sleep. I swear to God. I crossed myself and looked at the door with fear. Take a look. This is what I found at night in the gazebo, in the same place where the kid saw his friend when we arrived from the psychologist. I trembled, holding a clown nose in my hands. The wife was confused.
So, you're telling me that some kind of clown wandered our house this night?
Exactly.
Why didn't you call the police?
She suddenly asked me an obvious question.
And why didn't you wake me up?
Because that had me shaking in my boots. And you know why else? I raged. Because that freaking clown was not material. You know what I'm saying? Something not alive. How did he talk to our son not being here? And why Denny doesn't remember a damn thing after each time he meets him? He didn't lie to us. You know what I mean? No matter how skeptical my wife was, but my questions drove her to a dead end, and you could see certain anxiety tracing in her eyes. And you know what else? The bucket in which Denny almost drowned himself was in the pantry. He simply wouldn't have reached that shelf. The clown helped him to get it.
So what do we do now?
I don't know, Karen. I'm gonna borrow a gun from Greg for a day. We'll see what happens next night.
Oh, I'm not feeling quite well because of what you have just told me.
My wife muttered and hugged me tightly. All right, I'm gonna get some coffee. I left the bedroom, and Karen stayed to wake Denny. Another unpleasant surprise awaited me in the kitchen. On one of the chairs, there was a dirty, crumpled clown suit, and under the chair, there were huge red shoes. Karen, come here quickly, I called my spouse in fright. When she saw this picture, she backed away.
Sonny, was your friend Vaka wearing this suit by any chance? Yes, Mom. This is his suit. Why did he leave all this at our house? Yesterday a nose, today a suit with shoes. What is going on?
I have no idea, I answered and sent the find into the trash. The day passed very quickly, as if nature itself wanted to quickly bring down the darkness of the night on us. And with the anxious expectation of a night visitor, we sat in front of the TV all evening, afraid to close our eyes even for a few seconds. Thank God, during this whole day, Denny didn't speak to anyone. He only once told me in secret that Vaka got offended because the kid refused to play with him last night. Closer to midnight, my wife and son were already snoring softly, but I, as a faithful watchdog, didn't close my eyes. At least, I tried not to, but the dream took its toll, and soon I joined the family without even knowing what a nightmare was already waiting for us. In the middle of the night, I woke up again. That very snicker from last night pulled me out of my sleep. Only this time, it was already much louder and clearer. I opened my eyes wide, glanced around the room, and got horrified. Unrestrained fear bound me with its strong cords, from which it was impossible to escape. Something bad stood in the middle of the room. I couldn't call it a person. It was something gray, like the autumn sky, standing very close to us and trying to pull our son out of his mother's arms. Its face looked torn apart, and from the ugly hole in its head, they were either teeth sticking out in different directions or something else. I didn't see it very well in the dark. Its eyes shone like small light bulbs and even slightly illuminated the room. It wore a red clown wig on its head, and all its face was painted like a clown in a circus. Well, if you could call that a face. Without hesitating, it quickly grabbed my son and, laughing cheerfully, rushed away from the bedroom. From its laughter, my body was covered with thousands of goosebumps once again. All that happened in a fraction of a second. I didn't even have time to react. I grabbed the gun automatically and rushed after it.
"Let him go, you nasty beast!"
I shouted in pursuit, but it was only disgustingly laughing and running away from me. The kid screeched in its arms, tried to get out, but the grip of the creature was apparently very strong. Having run out into the street, I realized that I wouldn't be able to catch up with them, so I finally took aim and pulled the trigger. A loud shot thundered, from which soon the lights came on in the neighboring houses, and the people were staring at the windows. I aimed at the creature's legs so as not to hurt my son. Again, its nasty laughter rang out from afar. I instantly rushed in that direction. The creature wagged from side to side, not ceasing to laugh. In the light of the lampposts, its silhouette was clearly visible, but only when I looked closer, I realized that it was running without my son.
"Denny!"
I screamed. I screamed for a long time and very loudly. I thought I had already lost him, but after a few minutes, he responded.
Daddy, I'm here. Help me.
The kid hysterically screamed from above somewhere. When I looked up, I saw him hanging on one of the electric poles.
Daddy, I'm afraid. Please help me down.
Fortunately, he hung on the pole itself without touching the wires.
"Sonny, do not touch the wires, dear. In no case. I'm coming. Damn it. Sonny, come on, jump.
I'm afraid, Daddy.
Jump. I'll catch you. It's not high here. Don't be afraid."
Suddenly, the boy stopped holding onto the pole and flew straight into my arms, knocking me to the ground. I fell and hit my head on the curb so that everything doubled in front of my eyes. I got him. Yeah, thank God.
Are you okay?
Yes, Dad. I'm okay.
Well, everything is fine now. He won't get you anymore. I promise.
Did you shoot him?
Denny asked, wiping away his tears.
Yeah, I think I hit the leg.
Well, let's get home. Mom is waiting for us. On our way, I wondered why she didn't wake up when her son was snatched from her hands. And when the shot rang out, it was quite loud as well. But when we got home, the reason for this became crystal clear. Denny yelled again, and I staggered back in horror. My wife was lying on the sofa, and when the boy ran up to hug her, her head simply fell off. A pool of blood spread throughout the room, and a red clown nose was pulled on her dead face.